Golden Black Radio is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Huddle up, football fans. Tailgate season is here, and nobody gets you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local Academy store. Shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day. With 8 Academy stores across Indiana, including our Lafayette location, fun can't lose, and neither can you. Gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors.
Well, welcome to our Wednesday night, acrepro.com Wednesday night chat. I'll bring in Tom Dienhart and Dub Jellison here in a second. Busy week as we're getting ready for obviously Purdue's game at Northwestern on Saturday, and of course basketball just around the corner as well. I want to thank our sponsor of Wednesday Night Live, acrepro.com. When it comes to land sales, it pays to have experts in your corner. Acre Pro Midwest Farm Group are your local farmland specialists with decades of experience in Indiana agriculture. No one knows the market better. Whether you're doing a 1031 exchange or simply buying and selling farmland, your local Acre Pro agent will walk the land with you and ensure the deal is done right. Visit acrepro.com or call 765-775-6502. All right, going to bring in the legendary Tom Dienhart and Dub Jellison. You guys are already the legendary status here for a Wednesday night. When you're doing this show every week, you're by definition a legend. All right, Tom. Purdue did not get it done, as you're painfully aware. If you're a Purdue fan, you're painfully aware, I should say, at Minnesota this past Saturday. Golden opportunity to get that first Big Ten win in a couple of years, and first Big Ten win for Barry Odom. Now you go to Northwestern, a team that's on a 3-game winning streak. That you look at Northwestern 6 weeks ago and you said, boy, this is a game Purdue can win. It still is a game Purdue can win, certainly at that 3-point spread. And the Wildcats, so fresh off the win over Penn State, are not world beaters. Going to be a rainy afternoon. You better bring your galoshes, Mr. Dienhart, up there to that 12,000-seat stadium that you're going to be in. I hope they put you inside. I hear it's going to be fine from that standpoint. But Tom, what lays ahead for Purdue? This is really a big game. Between two teams that are still wanting to make their way in the Big Ten, though Northwestern has begun to make its way under Coach David Braun.
Yeah, I like your number crunching where you had the smallest crowd he's played in front of. That was a great one, man. Galoshes, Alan. I used to have to put bread bags over my shoes and put my galoshes on, if you remember that. But I digress. We watched last week's game, and Purdue just kept letting Minnesota hang around. They couldn't put them away, couldn't really get that second score to go up by a couple touchdowns, and they got caught. Of course, we've talked about this, it seems like, for weeks already, even though it's been a few days. Turnovers, penalties, drop passes. There you go. Beating yourself, right? And it's got to drive Barry Odom nuts, Mr. Hard, Smart, and Tough, for a team to beat itself. And people told me during the game, the cameras actually caught him falling to the ground.
Yes, they did.
Exasperation.
They did. Oh, yeah.
During the face mask penalties on Demetrius Kennedy. That seems so out of character from Barry Odom, but it just shows you how frustrated he's got to be. And here we go, Alan and Dub, right? This is October. This is that meat of the schedule where they got to make hay. They're 0-1, but like you said, Alan, this is certainly a winnable game. We know Northwestern's hot, but still a winnable game for the Boilermakers as a 3-point underdog.
Yeah, shout out to those that are posting questions. Cousin Tom Gall, we appreciate you. Waiting for live from Crooked Lake, tuning in tonight. We've got a couple good questions already on the board that I'll get to Dub. But Dub, you look at this team, and being hungry for a win is by definition. And we've talked about this till we're blue in the face, it seems. You guys certainly have lived it when you look at that schedule in October and you say, here are the 3 games that you can win, because you look at from November 1st on and we've hit this every week. Purdue's going to be double-digit underdogs, maybe not double-digit touchdown underdogs, but double-digit underdogs, if not 20-plus point underdogs in those games. How do you look at this perspective with these next 2 games coming up, obviously with Saturday's game at Northwestern?
Yeah, going into the Minnesota game, I felt like Purdue had to get 2 or 3. And now I think you got to get both if you want to show progress. with the program because, although Northwestern is 4-2, I don't know if they're as good as their record indicates. Rutgers has been up and down this year. So these are two very winnable games, but at the same time, I think both of those teams are looking at Purdue like, all right, this is a game that we can coast through and be on to the next. So it'll still be tough for Purdue to get these wins, but they're two games where I expect them to be at the very least in it to the last minute, right? I think if you go and get blown out by Northwestern and or Rutgers, I think you got some bigger fish to fry. But these two games are big just so you can show improvement, because if they lose out, just for argument's sake, I don't know if that's much of or a improvement at all from last year going 2-10, just based on the wins that you would have gotten. So Purdue's got to get a couple wins here and roll into November, having a little mojo, having a little confidence, and they hope that they can make some magic happen against four really good opponents the last month of the season.
All right, the debate of the week, and a good question from Jim Garfinkel, a regular poster here. Hi again, guys. Ignoring the deception play debate, which we guys have written about, we've talked about. What do you think is the issue in the red zone? And I'll throw this out to whoever wants to answer. The offensive line isn't built for it. Is it the play calling? Is it just sheer rotten luck? Or is it a combination of all three, Tom? I mean, we're talking about the references to the ill-timed, at least as it turned out, the Devin Maccabee halfback pass. I guess you'd want to call it the 9-yard line. And we had a question here of whether, Barry Odom seemed a little irritated about that line of questioning, or made a comment about it. I think he's irritated it didn't work. But Tom, what do you think? I'll start with you on what Purdue has had almost in its history, going back to the days of Joe Tiller, red zone problems, or punching the ball in. And yet, as you've written about, Tom and Dub, we've talked about, Purdue had momentum on that drive. Things were rolling. It didn't work. It didn't seem like good timing, having to look back at it. But what do you think? Is this offensive line getting better? Can Purdue punch the ball in? Should have Purdue tried to just punch the ball in the way they were going? We're kind of repeating what we said earlier in the week, but what do you think, Tom?
Yeah, I think, with the way they were moving the ball, Alan, right? I think that's what miffed people. It's not like they were struggling to run the football with Devin Maccabee. Why go away from that with a gimmick play? Reach in your bag of tricks when you really didn't need to reach in your bag of tricks at that time, right? With the way you're moving the football, just out of your conventional offense. Now, we asked Josh Henson about that this week at Princeton. He stands by the play. It was there, right? Devin Maccabee just held the ball for too long. Yeah. The target was open. I can't even remember who he was throwing it to. But he was open. Maccabee waited too long to throw the pass. And, he pointed out, Henson did, that we love to, second guess it when trick plays don't work. When they do work, and they're brilliant, right? But when they don't, everybody loves to second guess. And, well, that's just the nature of fandom and sometimes the media, right? Right. But, like you said, Alan, almost it's not in the DNA of Purdue football, even though the head coach has changed, right? It's not Iowa football or old Nebraska football where you line up and run people over. It's always been, quarterback you and more of a little bit of a finesse offense. And, yeah, it's been an issue for a long time, guys. We've seen this staff use that hippo personnel to directly snap it to Maccabee to try to get another lineman on the field as well. So they're trying things, and the red zone offense is the worst in the Big Ten. And some people pointed out to me they think maybe they're they get a little scared in the red zone with the play calling. I don't know. You start to try to tap dance around things and get cute because maybe you can't get in there in a conventional way. Maybe there's some of that in the play calling. The bottom line is they're 18th in the Big Ten in red zone offense.
Yeah, and those numbers don't lie in terms of that, no matter what happened. Yes, it would have all been great had it worked and might have changed the course of the game. But the fact of the matter is, Dub, Purdue did have this game not in hand. I'll stop short of that, but certainly in control. Certainly had the opportunity to be up. Barry Odom's frustrated at the half because you being Purdue could have been up 2 touchdowns plus. you knew it just watching it and knowing the way that if you weren't watching with any level of caring of who won or lost, you just said this momentum is you're Purdue's playing with fire, and that's exactly what happened. And Minnesota lapped them in the fourth quarter. But how do you view that in terms of just trying to get that road win, trying to get the job done in the red zone, trying just to win a football game when you completely dominated them? Really, it was statistically, certainly. It just makes it even all the more frustrating.
Yeah, it was something that Barry Odom talked about. I believe it was after the USC game. He said that they got momentum and they couldn't carry it, or something to that effect. And I think that's kind of been the theme with the 3 of the last 4 losses. I think obviously we can throw the Notre Dame loss out, but USC gave them opportunities to stay in the game. Illinois gave them opportunities to stay in the game. They had a golden opportunity to beat Minnesota, and they just couldn't take advantage of the opportunities that they were given. I think it comes with learning how to win. I know it's something that Tom has kind of been pondering this week. This team hasn't figured out how to win close games and how to come up big in key situations. And that's the name of the game. You have to do that. I think, it's reminded me a little bit. I know it's apples and oranges, but, looking back to Scott Frost's tenure at Nebraska, how many one-score games did they lose under his watch? I think some teams, it's just a struggle for them to come up in big moments. And, that's kind of what's biting Purdue this year, in my opinion. Whether it's turnovers in the red zone, not executing in the red zone. I think, on Saturday they had 5 red zone opportunities and only had 1 touchdown. You just can't have that. Yeah. And that's been the same for a few games now. So Purdue's going to have to find a way to make winning plays and kind of limit the mistakes that they're not talented enough to make. I think some of these teams that they've played, they can maybe afford a 15-yard penalty on a face mask. But Purdue can't afford 1, let alone 2 in the same drive. So it's just a continuous cycle of these little mistakes that are adding up, and some big mistakes that have really been biting Purdue. And Barry Odom, he's talked about it. They need to stop talking about it and they need to just go out and do it. So we're going to see if they'll be able to do that over these next couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's going to be an opportunity. The opportunity is certainly going to be there. I don't think Northwestern, and Tom, you talked to Dave Ennett, the longtime voice of the Northwestern Wildcats for your preview for looking at Northwestern. You'll have the full interview on our pregame show on Friday. But the Northwestern, I should say, shouldn't be confused with Notre Dame. They caught Penn State at an interesting time, and it was a $49 million mistake for the Nittany Lions, I guess, to be flippant about it. But still, this is not a world beater football team, and they do run the football well. What else impressed you with what Dave had to say, and he posted on the site today?
Yeah, exactly right. That's where it starts offensively for Northwestern, running the football. And they got 2 good backs.
2 good backs, yep.
You said a solid offensive line. They have a transfer wide receiver, a guy who just catches the ball. And then Preston Stone is the quarterback, a transfer from SMU. He had a rough start. Remember when they went down to play Tulane in New Orleans and just got rocked?
Got hammered.
Yeah, got hammered. But they've obviously rebounded since then. And it started with that win at home against UCLA. UCLA looks
good now.
I know. And the next week, of course, the Bruins beat Penn State. Northwestern had a non-conference game against Northeast Louisiana. Then they went to State College and won. So that's the offense. Again, nothing flashy. But again, they want to run the ball at you. They don't beat themselves. How about that? And defensively, they don't get a lot of takeaways. But Dave said they're, again, a group that's from front to back is very, very, very solid. And Tim McGargle is the defensive coordinator, a former Northwestern linebacker.
A good one, yeah.
All-time leading tackler in Evanston. And typical Northwestern team that we've seen a lot over the years, right? And they've really had Purdue's number. And I was talking to some people from up there this week, and Northwestern football is everything Purdue wants to be, and they cannot get over the hump here. That type of a program, and I give credit to Northwestern, right? What they've done, beginning under Pat Fitzgerald, has been remarkable, and David Braun's done a great job too. So they're going to honor the '95 Rose Bowl team during the
Gary
game.
Barnett. I was going to say it started with old Gary Barnett, right?
He'll be there. Darnell Autry, Steve Schnurr. Not sure if Pat Fitzgerald will be at the game, but he'll probably be at some festivities leading into the game. Obviously, he was the cornerstone there. But yeah, so they'll have something to play for. And again, this is a Northwestern team that's feeling its oats right now, and it's going to be tough for Purdue. And like you said, Alan, off the top, Dave said there's a chance for rain Saturday. So that can maybe favor the team that can run the ball the best.
Yeah, though it did. I just looked at the forecast. Yes, they are saying more light rain, the heavier rain. They're talking about some decent amount of rain here in Lafayette as well Sunday. So maybe you'll only need to have a light raincoat, Tom. Not full set of galoshes, just a light raincoat. Okay. Maybe your hat, like you'll be.
I got an umbrella in my bag.
They have big now that modern press box with 12,300 seats. They'll have heaters up there for you, or blowers or whatever. But no, it's frustrating because you think about. We were talking about that. Somebody said that if you look back in the early 1990s and said that Oregon and Indiana would be playing on ES or College Game Day, or for that matter, Northwestern, obviously came of age in 1995, at least certainly came on the stage. And in most cases, they haven't looked back. Now they haven't been, even Randy Walker. They had a Big Ten championship team. Pat Fitzgerald did some good things there, but my gosh, they also had 38 game losing streak, right, in the 80s, or 80s, back when Jim Vrujink was the SID there. So it is what it is. You just hope that if you're Purdue that you can get the job done, and that's what it. I think John Hawks writes an interesting thing that I think is getting under the skin of Purdue fans. Though you can't, if you watch Indiana play football, IU that is, you can't help but be impressed with what they did out at Oregon last week, and how they continue to impress. And right now, Indiana, where this is not an Indiana show, but I'm not sure Indiana is going to lose another game. I mean, they're not going to pick to lose another game. Could UCLA beat them in Bloomington? Sure, the way the Bruins are playing. Could they lose at Maryland or Penn State, Indiana, that is, maybe. But, we all have been around Purdue sports for a long time. Dub, I mean, I know people you talk to, we try to keep it as independent as we can, but that is something that's in the back of minds of a lot of Purdue people about where Indiana is right now in football.
Yeah, and that's just the nature of rivalries, especially that one, I think Purdue fans – after they watch the Boilermakers, they kind of take a peek and see how the Hoosiers did down there. But I've been so impressed with Curt Cignetti and what he's been able to do down there. I know it's been well chronicled last year, but I think I looked at this season and I was like, well, maybe they'll come back to earth a little bit. I still thought they'd be a good team, 8-9 win team. They're looking like perhaps the best team in the country now. Which is bananas to say about Indiana football. And I mean, you guys have been watching a lot longer than I have, but the only success I've seen Indiana have was under Tom Allen.
And that was during COVID.
Yeah. And that was, short-lived. So I think, Purdue fans are a little salty about it, especially with just the direction of the program right now and then kind of the unknowns moving forward. But, Indiana's really impressive and they're a fun team to watch. I enjoy watching them play.
38% winning percentage from 1968, the year after they went to the Rose Bowl. Indiana went to the Rose Bowl up through 2024 or through 2023, I should say. And that percentage has changed here in the last 2 weeks. Somebody called it a good line today, and this is not IU best. Kirk Cignetti is Bob Knight with no charm, because Bob Knight had great charm. He could charm any press conference. Curt just calls it like he sees it. You're not going to like him. His own people don't like. I don't think really. He's not a warm and fuzzy dude, but he's proven that he can coach, and that part of it is very much the case. I saw a good question. I thought a thought-provoking question on this, and you shouldn't compare them, but if you do, we should compare Odom's first year to Walter's first year, not Walter's last year. Of course, Walter's finished 4-8, I believe. Is that right?
Yeah.
In 2023. I think that's an interesting thought process. Tom, any thought on that comment? I mean, just in terms of, Ryan Walters, and again, it's a different situation, but Ryan Walters got off to a slow start, did have a couple impressive wins relatively over Minnesota and Illinois in year one. Could have won some other ones as well. But how do you view that comment?
Yeah, 3 Big Ten wins. He also beat Indiana.
Yeah.
And guy lost the losses to Nebraska and Iowa still kind of gall me because those are terrible Nebraska and Iowa teams.
Yeah.
But they were on the road. And he had the one non-conference win. Could it be Fresno State in that opener?
Oh, yeah.
You can go on and on with those woulda, coulda, shouldas. But, yeah, 4-8. And supposedly Jeff Brahman didn't leave him a lot of talent, right? And Ryan brought in some players. Obviously, the quarterback, Hudson Card, came in that year. He still had Deion Burks and Nick Scorton, of course. And a lot of guys up front with Gus Hartwig leading the way. But anyway, I digress. This team right now for Barry Odom, these are his guys.
Yeah.
82 out of 120? That's his roster, right? It's not like he's playing with Ryan Walters guys. How many Ryan Walter guys even have significant roles on the team? Probably count them on one hand, can't you?
Yeah.
Devin Mockabee. You got Joey Tanona. I guess I shouldn't do it here, but I guess you get my point.
Yeah.
Defensively, there's nobody. I don't think there's anybody. I guess he brought in Chops Harkless, right? And he brought in C.J. Madden. That's really it. Those are the only guys from Ryan Walters' defense that are even playing significant roles. And again, offensively, probably 3 or 4 guys. So you get my point, right? In this era of the portal, we knew the 5-year plans were out the window a few years ago. If you can redo your team in 1 year, and
get the right guys. Yeah,
we've seen it done, and obviously, I know the schedule's tough for Purdue. Nobody expected a miracle. We thought 3-9 or 4-8. That's still very possible, right? But these are Barry Odom's guys for the most part. So he picked them out of the portal. He signed the guys, the high school kids. And let's get after it, right? And he said it himself. He's tired of the potential, talk about potential, making strides, playing hard. But you got to show the fans a victory pill at some point. You're all based on results. It's a result-driven business, right? And for a football coach, you got to win. Ron Meyer had that quote, don't tell me about the labor, just show me the baby.
Yeah.
And you get the point. Just don't tell me what you're doing. I don't care what you're doing in practice. I don't care how many weights you lift, how much film you watch. Just show me the win. That's what fans want to see. Show me the win. And he gets it. Barry Odom gets it. You can tell this is non-Adam. All these coaches are ultimate competitors. Maybe he feels a little pressure. I'm sure he probably does. He doesn't want to disappoint the fans. That's understandable. He doesn't want to disappoint his bosses. That's understandable too. The people have been trusting him with this and have confidence in him. He wants to succeed for them, obviously, too. So I get it. And so close last week. And again, for him to fall to the field like that really surprised me. That seems so out of Barry Odom. I think he would always maintain his composure, even in those moments where you just want to scream, right? You just want to scream and pound your fist on the ground. Yeah. I think that really sort of shows you the frustration there. You gotta turn the page. Here's Northwestern, right? You can't dwell on it. You got to move forward. I think he talks about doing that. We'll see how well they do it on Saturday.
Yeah, and in fairness to him, and the what he did was so crazy because they're going to get off the field, on the first one. I mean, and you could just sense that was the game. I mean, if you get off the field there, you're still ahead right at that point. And I just think I sense that he's, and then it happens again, but he felt, oh my gosh, it's just slipped through, it slipped through the hands. But yes, it was a definite show of emotion. It made the national TV, so to speak. Dub, any thoughts on how you evaluate this program right now? And again, we live in a week-to-week business, and I don't particularly care for that notion, but that is the way it is. You fire James Franklin after 6 games, no matter what, even if he was in the Final Four last year, in essence. That's just the way of the world now, and we all probably best accept it, but whether we like it or not. But how do you evaluate this team? I mean, we kind of hit this on a weekly basis about how you need to win a couple games, but I think you do want to show that the formula of getting personnel can work even moving forward, because there's going to be transition after this year too. I mean, we know that, and we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I think I kind of based my assessments of this team kind of on last year, and just at the very least showing improvement from there.
Yeah, I tend to agree.
And I think they've done that, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've been competitive in basically every game except for Notre Dame. I know that it's not like they were right there to the end against USC and Illinois, but they were still fighting. And then, had a couple of plays gone differently, I think they could have, gotten it a lot closer. But kind of going off what Tom said, you gotta translate the progress into wins. The fans need to see something tangible that they can grab onto and be like, all right, the program's moving in the right direction. I feel like they should be able to say that now, and I feel like Purdue is moving in the right direction, but maybe not at the pace that people would like. And so I think that's some of the frustration that the Purdue fans are feeling. But going back to Barry Odom, I agree with Tom. I think this is really getting at him, and he's kind of frustrated with how the last 4 games have gone. But he's no stranger to this. Across his last 3 years at Missouri, he had losing streaks of 4 or more games. So he's been here before, and you would think that he would learn from those experiences and kind of be better equipped to handle a long losing skid and get this team right back on track. So we're going to see if he'll be able to do that. But I have been encouraged by what I've seen despite the losses. But you don't get an A for effort in college football. So they got to get some wins coming up here.
Well, I think one thing, Tom, and is that the numbers were so staggering. I mean, holding Minnesota, who was a good rush team in theory, and I know they've had injury at running back, but holding them to 30 yards rushing, holding a quarterback to about 42% completions. You just don't, we did the numbers this week and number crunching. You just don't lose many games in that type of scenario when you gain over more than 200 yards. But it wasn't even just that. I thought, you guys asked those questions on Monday about how much Purdue improved on what it didn't do well against Illinois. And that is good line play. They controlled the run well. For the most part, if I remember right, they didn't give up any monster big plays in that game. I mean, they did when it came down. Pick 6, obviously, that had nothing to do with the defense. But that they checked all the boxes for making improvement. I thought that was a really good sign. And I understand Minnesota isn't Illinois. I get it, but they did address those things. It just didn't result in a victory because of too many mistakes at the wrong time. Is that a fair assessment, Mr. Dienhart?
I think the point you made too, Alan. Purdue did make a lot of strides against Minnesota, but Minnesota certainly isn't one of the big better teams. That quarterback, Drake Lindsay,
got a way to go, doesn't he? Well, he looks the part though. He's a big kid.
He looks to come out of the tunnel, but not good. He's really not a good quarterback, and. But still, I don't want to mute or take away what Purdue did, but just kind of a point of reference, right? Those they weren't USC, they weren't Notre Dame, they weren't Illinois, and but again, at that point, Purdue just wants some success. They need some positive reinforcement, and that defense certainly got it right. That defense was really maligned heading up north last week, and you talked about the numbers, Alan. They answered the bell, man. Running, stopping the run. and controlling the passing game too. And they got their first interception too of the year, so that was a positive as well. But yeah, I circle back to, there's every game probably comes down to 4 or 5 plays whether you make them or not. And Purdue's not able to do that at this point. Make those 4 or 5 plays at key moments that are going to win you a game. Getting off the field on third down, things like that. It's clicking in the red zone, scoring a touchdown, not kicking a field goal, not turning the ball over in the red zone. Somebody's got to make a play, and that's just what's missing right now. And I don't know how you get there, guys. I have no idea how you get there. It just happens. You hope maybe some of your older players, your veterans, can maybe lead the way and give you a breakthrough there. Make a big play to win a game before you get a big stop. But they're close, and they know they're close too. And again, there has been plenty of progress this year. Don't get me wrong. Just the way they compete, and they typically handle adversity well. And again, the way they compete, and then they fight. And again, it says a lot if you got guys playing hard, and I sense these guys are always playing hard, and regardless of the score. And again, I know those are empty and sometimes hollow things to hang your hat on, but I know coaches appreciate it, and eventually, it should lead to a W here.
All right. Well, Shango Jakudo, I'm assuming that's his
guy
name.
Right there.
He has been on this all along, and then Ian Jeffrey gets put in, plays 41 plays, but who's counting? He's been calling for him. I don't know. I don't know. I didn't look. I don't remember reading it on Data Driven of how he held up statistically, but he did get in the game and did play a lot.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what thing is a little bit interesting about this. Because of some injuries, etc. He has definitely moved some people around, and obviously with the injury to Lindsey and other things that have caused some shuffling. But there has been some guys that have stepped up and had a chance to play. And again, I don't know how Jeffrey's graded out, but he did get in the game. And now Shango is calling for a lineup number 40 and number 18 at D tackle and let them rip. I think he must be their agent. But be that as it may, it has shown. I don't know exactly what it's shown, but it's shown that they can go to some different guys and see if they can produce. Hank Purvis also gets in the lineup, and he was the media person of the day today, and you guys talked to him. So this is there are guys that have not got to play a lot that have had to step up and have done well.
Yeah, and they're young guys.
Yeah,
they're young guys too. I think Jeffries is a sophomore. Kennedy's a redshirt freshman or sophomore, and then Hank Purvis is a sophomore. Guys that you can kind of bring along, and guys that have shown that they can come into the lineup and produce. D'Amico Kennedy was a guy that really impressed me the previous 2 weeks, and had it not been for the face mask calls, would have had 2 sacks on Saturday.
Yeah.
I think he adds a different element of pass rush from the interior. And then Ian Jeffries did the same thing on Saturday. He had 5 pressures, a sack, 3 hurries. He had the top pass rush grade on Pro Football.
That's right. He did.
That up when you were talking out.
Yeah.
So that's big, especially in the absence of TJ Lindsey, who we're all high on, and he's a guy that could have been an impact player for Purdue. They needed guys to step up, and Jeffries and Kennedy have. And, I think it's shown with how well they played against the run the last couple of weeks. I know it's not quite Notre Dame, right? But Illinois had a good run game, or has a good run game. I think Minnesota historically has had a good run game, right? And I'm very high on Darius Taylor. I like him a lot as a player. So both of those performances have been very impressive, and something that they can build on going for the rest of the season. Now it's just about whether the secondary can hold up, because as Tom alluded to earlier, Drake Lindsey could have did a lot more damage than he did, right? Now we didn't quite see the missed assignments and the blown coverages like we saw against Illinois. I think that was just a game that you gotta put in the trash and move on. So in that respect, they improved, but they still had some areas where they need to clean up on that in that secondary. But the defensive line has been much improved, and something that I think they can hang their hat on now as a defense.
Yeah. Tom, you look at Purdue, the future, and as we're getting toward the end of our show here tonight, but the future of Purdue football, obviously, and you look at what Indiana's done. You look what UCLA is doing. Obviously, they had to trade a quarterback with Tennessee, but the need for a solid quarterback, and Ryan Brown has certainly shown. Yes, he threw a big pick six. He's made some mistakes. He's thrown the 7 picks this year. That's part of it. But stability at that position, are you of the feeling that this is a guy you can build around, and if you could keep him here for 2 more years, you might find yourself with some real stability in that position at quarterback, and a guy that could be one of the better quarterbacks in the league? Is that how you view this point, or do you think Purdue will still be going out and looking for another quarterback in the portal when time comes?
First, I got to say, I got to break the news to you, Alan. Hank Purvis did not like his Dwayne Purvis All-American.
Yeah, he did. I heard that
disappointed. 350-pound guy doesn't like a Dwayne Purvis All-American. Yeah. Oh my God.
Our good friends at Triple X are not going to, Kerry and Greg are not going to want to hear that. But yes,
he could crush the Dwayne Purvis.
I love it. That's
right. I do
that's
too.
The only thing I've ever gotten there.
Yeah.
I digress, but I love the Dwayne Purvis too. Ryan Brown, certainly he's not your problem. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
Ryan Brown is you can win with Ryan Brown. I think we all know that. We've seen enough. I think the body of work is big enough at this point. Yes, he leads the Big Ten with 7 interceptions, but I think sometimes, and I asked Josh Henson about this on Monday too, he may try to just force things.
Yeah.
I think sometimes he feels like, I got to make something happen. And some people call it hero ball. And I think with maturity, you'll take the check down throws more often instead of trying to force the ball, maybe in a tight coverage or double coverage, just to try to make something happen or make a big play. Otherwise, I think he's getting better with the zone read, when to pull the ball out and when to keep it. Again, this all just comes with the live action in games. And boy, he can run. When he turns the corner, he can run. And like I always say, he's every bit of 6'4". We've seen his arm. It's not the greatest arm, but it's good enough. And the intangible of being a leader, being well liked, man, if your linemen love you, that's great right there. Now he needs more support from his receivers. That's the issue on offense.
Yeah,
it's been an abomination. I don't think abomination is too strong of a word. 7 drops last week, according to PFF. Some people thought there were more, and it's a real issue. And how dispiriting does that have to be if you're a quarterback? You're just going to slump your shoulders, and your body language could change. But his body language never changes. He never acts disappointed. He never shakes his head. Never looks down in disgust. That says a lot too. And your teammates pick up on that, how you react when maybe they don't make a play for you. So it'll come in time, but we talked ad nauseum about the drops to the coaches too. They're obviously working on stuff with the jugs machine and all that. We'll see. What you do in practice, you do in games. That's the truth. What you do in practice, you do in games. So we'll see if the additional. Dub and I are there after practice a couple of times a week, and they drag that jug machine out right after practice. They're lined up taking catches. So we'll see if they get any better this week.
Yeah, Matt Painter says that about guys. They don't try to miss free throws.
Yeah,
they aren't trying to drop the ball. Now they got to catch it. I get it, and I know that that's a huge bugaboo. Okay, one last topic change, I have an opinion on this. David Bell, of course, as you may have read, most of you know by now, has decided to hang it up with the Cleveland Browns, injury related. I'm not even 100% sure of all the details there. Was he the best receiver ever wide receiver ever at Purdue? And I think there weren't any better in my view. He was as tough as he can get and made play after play. Let's just say he made some quarterbacks look good. There's some other ones up there, certainly, if you talk about wide receivers, but Purdue's had some All-Americans at that position, but not very many. They've had All-Americans at tight end. I'm talking about, and I think David Bell was the second team All-American, I want to say, in his senior year. But Tom, you're in my age bracket, and I'll let Dub answer. What do you think there in terms of David Bell?
Well, I think that game in Iowa, he was an Hawkeye killer.
Yeah.
Those Iowan people are still talking to themselves, mumbling themselves about David Bell. Yeah, truly special. I don't think there's anybody that was better than David Bell. He's in the conversation without a doubt. Sometimes we let recency, kind of recency bias creep in on us. What we just saw is obviously, it's the greatest, it's the best. But I think that he's legit. And Rondell Moore, the body he worked there wasn't.
And different kind of player too.
Different kind of player. I always look back at amazement at what Brian Alford did.
Yeah, Brian Alford was good.
Unbelievable. I mean, go back and look at his numbers. And his last 1 year with Coletto and his 1 year with Tiller. One of my favorites, of course, Vinny Sutherland, right? The ultimate playmaker. But yeah, there have been some good ones. When I was in college, it was Steve Griffin.
Yeah,
was Jim Everett's top guy. But yeah, David Bell's right there. I mean, if you wanted me to say he's number one, I'll say number one. He was a special guy. Plus a tremendous person too.
Yeah. I'm partial to my age group and Bart Burrell, but not to David. Even Bart, if Bart were on this show, he would say, "Are you kidding me? David Bell's runs circles around me." Bart Burrell was as good a receiver, just ball catcher, but not an athlete like this guy. But there were some other good. Certainly, you mentioned Steve Griffin. You mentioned Raymond Smith, who they had at that time. Steve Bryant. Steve Bryant might have been. That would be the one that I would think, because Steve had a pretty good NFL career for a while with the Houston Oilers and others. But Deb, how do you view it from the ones you've seen in your lifetime and have read about over the years?
I was gonna say I haven't seen too many. All right,
not too. We were not. I was bound and determined not to mention your age today. So go ahead, just because I'm older.
I think. For my money, I think he's the best that I've seen in a Purdue uniform. Just the full body of work, like you guys said. The 3 years that he was there. When I first saw that question, my mind immediately went to Rondell Moore, and maybe that's just because of his sensational freshman year and how he kind of took the conference by storm. So that kind of sticks in my mind, but. You also got guys like John Stanford and Dorian Bryant. I was too young for Stanford. I remember the tail end of Dorian Bryant. Outside of that, though, it's kind of a struggle for me to think back to when I was 4 years old watching, Taylor Stubblefield and some of those other guys. But
Taylor Stubblefield, a great receiver, but still, and a first-team All-American. But David Bell was. And Taylor was a terrific ball catcher, but not David Bell was a threat. He was that's why I put him more in the conversation with Steve Bryant. And I'm going to put as I said, Rondell Moore. I agree is electrifying as Purdue's ever had. I used to always say about that there were. And I've been going to games since Leroy Keys played, and there was a noise. It was an audible noise that came when Leroy Keys touched the ball back in the late '60s, and it was a gasp. And I only heard it a couple other times. And Rondell Moore, when he had got his hands on the ball, he would do that. It was like, what the heck is this guy going to do? But I think they're different types of players, in my opinion, too. Both great players, but. In their time. It's a good subject to add, David. It's too bad that his career's come to an end, but he's a sharp guy. I'm going to guess he's going to have a very successful life, and if he's getting out in time before any other injuries, good for him. But I thought he could be a good pro if things had rolled right for him. I think it was a third-round pick of the Cleveland Browns, was at second, but he's again, things got to roll right sometimes. You got to get the right opportunity at the right time, and it didn't happen for him. All right, last question for you guys, just real quick. Tom, what do you think we're going to see from a Wednesday night perspective? What are we going to see on Saturday? I know I saw one of your early predictions, and you might have the Cats in a close one, but what do you think?
We got to keep this under wraps, Alan Karpick.
Okay, that's right. We got TV to do tomorrow. It's big on Channel 18.
It's big, man. We can. Man,
who are you? What will be a sure? Let me rephrase that. What will be a sure sign if Purdue's going to win? What will they have to do to do that? What will be the sure sign of victory?
For me, it's Devin Mockaby running the football like last week. 98 yards rushing on 21 carries. Throw him the ball too. This offense does not have any real difference makers at this point. And without George Burhan, and he's the closest thing they have to a difference maker, I think. So you got to get him the ball a lot. Wear him out, man. Wear him out. At this point, just like I said, there's nothing to hold back for. Just get a win. You got to run him 30 times, run him 30 times. But if they're able to get him established, and if they're running the football, everything should be okay.
All right, last word. Oh, go ahead. Didn't mean to. Last word, Dub. How do you see this one coming out?
I think Purdue is going to be very competitive and have a chance to win this game. I think the biggest key is going to be whether their secondary can hold up, because they've proven that they can stop the run. Now, can they stop Preston Stone, who I know he's been playing a little bit better since his rough start, but I'm still not a guy that impresses me very much. So that secondary is going to have to step up in a big way. And, kind of like we talked about at the top, is Purdue going to be able to make enough winning plays and limit the miscues and the mental mistakes?
All right. Well said, guys. I'll let you go back to whatever you're doing before bedtime here.
Bedtime.
What's that?
Bedtime, Alan.
Yeah, it is bedtime.
That would be up.
But yeah, you can. I don't know if you're. I just started. I'm the definition of late adopter. Someone gave me a Sopranos book, and I watched part of the Sopranos. Maybe I wasn't. Didn't feel like I had enough money to have HBO back in the day. Now I have it. So I'm
enjoy
watching some. And the problem with that show is you can start watching it, and you're all of a sudden it could be 2:00 in the morning if you're not careful. So I will not be doing that tonight. But guys, thanks so much for your time, and we'll look forward to not only programming updates. Fridays, Golden Black Radio will be obviously Derek Schultz will be leading that parade. Then Saturday after the game, Dub and myself and Tom Dienhart, Nate Barrett will talk Purdue-Northwestern football, probably around the 7:00 hour. I don't think we're going to have Brian Newbert with us. He'll be busy dealing with the Purdue men's basketball scrimmage, etc. But we'll look forward to that as well. So, guys, have a great rest of your evening, and I'll do a little wrap of the show, and we'll look forward to talking to you guys tomorrow.
Thank you. Take care, Alan. Take care, Doug.
All right, I want to thank our sponsor, of course, acrepro.com. Acre Pro. You can contact Kyle Spray and the good folks there at 765-775-6502 and talk to your local land expert. Whether you're doing a 1031 exchange or simply buying and selling farmland, the good folks at Acre Pro will get it done for you, and we appreciate them very, very much. For the rest of you, a reminder too, you can subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. If you're listening to this on our Apple Podcasts, write us a positive review. It would help us. Certainly, we would appreciate that. We have a lot of people that need us. And even a better idea is subscribe to goldenblack.com. You can do it for $1 for the first week. Knucklehead Central is worth it from an entertainment value. It's by itself the message board that is the biggest on the internet for Purdue sports, and we appreciate all those folks. So we appreciate your time on this Wednesday night, and have a great rest of your evening. We'll talk again for Acre Pro Wednesday Night Live next Wednesday prior to that game against Rutgers. So have a good evening, everybody.
As you all know by now, Golden Black Radio has also teamed up with BetMGM this season. We'll be using BetMGM lines to make all our picks, and we'll have special offers for our listeners each week. When you join BetMGM, you get access to a variety of parlay selection features like same-game parlays, live betting options, and more. If you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3, and you'll get up to a $1,500 first bet. Offer on your first wager with BetMGM. Here's how it works. Download the BetMGM app and sign up using bonus code ON3. Deposit at least $10 and place your first wager on any game. You will receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if your bet loses. Just make sure you use bonus code ON3 when you sign up. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 and over only. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. First bet offer for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that can expire in 7 days. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Don't forget, if you haven't signed up for BetMGM yet, use bonus code ON3 and get your $1,500 first bet offer today.